Here's what you missed on P-Valley Season 2, Episode 4, Review and Recap, Part 1.
Karen, I'm gonna need you to chill with the word ghetto. Little homeless Hailey living in the pain. Essentially, child, the Paradise Room is haunted, okay? I hear some noises coming from upstairs, and it sounds like somebody choking.
He needs some milk.
Some choking noises. Dre have literally been trying to get in Hailey's drawers since season 1. And I don't care that your wife was in there giving the Got 3000 to her coworker. We're not on your side, Andre. Pause. I don't really know how I feel about Slim Shady pulling up with the African workers. It's giving slavery. It's giving Jim Crow. And she's like, this is where your twerk muscle is. And I'm like, oh, that's what it's called. Boom, chicka, wow, wow. So Mercedes wakes up in her little love nest after Coach's wife done put her to bed, and she wakes up and, you know, she's by herself and she looks at her phone and she sees that she has a message from Farah that's basically saying, you know, I really enjoyed, you know, our time together. Hopefully, you know, I can see you again, or I can't wait to see you again, or something along those lines. And so Mercedes gets up, and as she's looking at her phone, she sees all these other messages from people, basically like, you know, are you okay? Hopefully you're okay with everything that's going on. And that's when she realizes, you know, she gets up, she turns on the TV, she sees all the stuff that's going on in regards to like the protests and stuff and the curfew and everything like that. And so she sees everything that's going on. So she gets up, and then she notices the text message that was in the group chat for the ladies at the Pank, basically, you know, telling everybody to come up to the club to help, you know, get the Pink ready, you know, for the inspection or whatever. And so once she sees that, she you know, she hurries to get up so she can head over there. And as she gets up, she turns around and she sees that on the nightstand, Farah has left her a whole bunch of money. And obviously that made Mercedes feel some type of way, because, you know, it's like, even though, you know, she's there for this specific arrangement with Coach, already knows what it is with Coach, you know, she's getting paid to do XYZ, but, you know, it's clear that she felt like this moment that she and Farah had was more intimate and real between them. So when she sees the money on the nightstand, it's like, dang, I thought we just had this nice, you know, moment together, but you treating it like a transaction, you know what I mean? And so, you know, you could just see it in her face that she just didn't really, you know, she just didn't really appreciate that. And honestly, I don't think Farah sees it as a transaction either. I think she just doesn't know how to navigate the situation, because Mercedes is already in a transaction with she and her husband. So I think that she's just trying to like play it safe. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to treat our stuff like a transaction too. Like, you know, I think she's just not sure how to navigate the situation. So for whatever reason, you know, she felt like it was the best thing to do to leave the money just in case, and, you know, just to play it safe. And obviously, you know, that made Mercedes feel some type of way. So the Dirty Dozen crew are chilling at their suite in Birmingham. Everybody's just, you know, chill vibe. Rome is in there trying to, you know, pressure people into doing hard drugs. Still playing this stupid ass game where you wink at somebody and they pretend to be dead. So like Gidget winks at Lil Murda and he pretends to fall out. And this game is clearly significant, but I wish they would get to the point where they let us know why, because I'm tired of seeing them play it. This is a stupid game. Like, it is a stupid game, and okay, we get it. Y'all want us to remember the game because it's gonna be significant. Can y'all just get to the point where it's significant? Because even when they were doing at the beginning of the episode, when they were doing the, what happened in the last episode, they had a little segment about that stupid ass game. And I'm like, y'all keep putting this game at such a forefront of importance, but when are y'all gonna tell us why? Like, this game is stupid. But anyway, so they're playing the game. They're still playing the stupid game or whatever. Gidget winks at little Murda. He falls out or whatever. Everybody's laughing. Hee, ha, ha, ha. And so everybody's just kind of, sitting around, chilling or whatever. Big Teak is off, on the whole other side of the room by himself. He's just watching the TV, watching news coverage about everything that's happened with the protest. It is clearly affecting him very, he is very anxious. So he is just not okay. Wody ends up telling Lil Murda, he's like, you need to go and record your feature, so we could, submit it to DJ Never Scared, for the feature he wants you to do. And so he sends Lil Murda off to the room so he could work on that. And as Lil Murda is going off to the room, he stops over there where Big Teak is at, and he's like, you okay? You cool? Everything good? And Big Teak is like, man, yeah, I'm good. Go and write your verse or whatever. Like, they just kind of, sends him away. And Lil Murda is like, man, I hate when you get like this. Like, clearly something is wrong with you. I'm trying to ask you, are you okay? Like, just tell me what's wrong, So anyway, Lil Murda goes off to the room to go and, work on his verse. And Rome gets up and Big Teak is all the way on the other side of the room watching the news coverage. Rome gets up. He decides, let's do a toast for, Mississippi. And he takes the remote and turns the TV off. And I'm like, now Rome, did you really have to turn that TV off in order to do this toast? Because this man is all the way clear on the other side of the room watching TV. That TV being on was not bothering you. Like, at this point, leave this man alone. Because we every time Big T gets slightly upset, we see how extreme his reaction is. Just leave him alone. But Rome gets up, he turns the TV off, and he starts to do this big toast to congratulate Mississippi, because of course they're supposed to be celebrating her lash line launching and all that good stuff. And so Big Teak walks over there looking like he about to end somebody. And he's like, you gonna turn the TV off while I'm watching it? Rome was like, oh, I'm sorry. Did I break some sort of, unspoken prison rule that I don't know nothing about? And so they start going back and forth about Rome turning the TV off, and they're going off. And so Rome is like, this is serious. I'm trying to see what's going on out here. And so here go Rome with his, listen, whatever happened, they deserved it. If the police showed up, then he must have, the person that got shot, he must have did something to deserve it.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Like, Rome is, like I said earlier, he's one of them. He over here sounding like the GOP, okay? So, obviously all the things that Rome is saying, it's just making Big Teak more and more upset. Everybody else in the room, Wody, Keyshawn, and Gidget are just standing around looking like, Rome? You in danger, homie. Big Teak is just getting more and more upset, and he looks scary at this point. And I know Rome be on that, sniff sniff, but sir, you are in danger. I'm gonna need you to leave this crazy ass man alone. Why are you antagonizing him? And so they going back and forth, and Big Teak is getting more and more upset, and he's like, somebody lost their life, and he's just going off. And so as he gets more and more upset and he raises his voice and gets more and more angry, you could see Keyshawn over there just having a meltdown, because mind you, this is a battered woman who obviously has trauma and PTSD and whatever else. So when she sees this man getting to the point of angry, about to start getting physical, that triggers her. So she's over there having a whole meltdown, and she's crying and looking terrified and stuff. And so Gidget is trying to calm her down and stuff, while Wody is just trying to get in between Rome and Big Teak so that don't nothing pop off there. And so Big Teak is just getting more and more mad. And so eventually, you know, Gidget is just seeing Keyshawn getting more and more upset, and Keyshawn is like in tears. And so I guess Gidget wanting to, you know, stick up for her friend or whatever, with all her Karen audacity and Karen level bravery, she goes to Big Teak and is like, you need to calm the F down. And I'm like, now Gidget, girl.
Oh, hell no.
Ain't nobody even talking to you. Why are you in this man's face? This man is already having a heated ass argument. This man is angry as hell, peak level angriness, about to go off, literally about to put hands on this other grown man, and you felt like you should get your little ass in between them. Now, if this man would have put hands on you, you would have been calling the police and being the victim. And I'm not saying that it would have been okay if he did put hands on her, but girl, why would you come up to this angry, scary ass man like that? The audacity that Karens have, that they just literally think they can step to anybody and nothing will happen to them. It is incredible to me. She really went up to this man while he was literally looking like he was about to pounce on somebody and was like, you need to calm the F down. You need to calm. And so Big Teak, because he's at the height of all this anger, he starts going off on her, and they're trying to, you know, Wody is trying to step in between him and her to make sure he don't do nothing to her. And so then everything just starts getting more and more heated. Big Teak ends up stepping through the table that's sitting there, and then finally walks off. I'm just like, this did not even have to go like this, you know, like, this situation did not even have to escalate here, because number one, Rome, you didn't have to turn that damn TV off to give no toast, because Big Teak was on the clean other side of the room. Y'all could have gave y'all's toast over on this side of the room with no problem. Y'all did not have to turn the TV off when you see this man watching it. And then number two, Gidget, girl, stay in your lane, sis. You should have stayed out of it. These two grown-ass men were arguing and getting heated, and there was absolutely zero reason for you to take your happy-go-lucky ass over there and decide to step to this big, buff, scary, angry-ass man fresh out of prison. I'm just like, it just went way further than it had to go. But anyway, Wody is able to get Big Teak to, you know, to walk away. So Big Teak goes off, and Gidget is still trying to comfort Keyshawn, who is just, at this point, she's just a mess. She's just crying because, again, this is a battered woman. She's used to getting yelled at and physically, you know, hit and stuff by her man. So this big old man, like, getting that angry is obviously a trigger for her. So she's super upset and she's crying. And I'm just like, child, y'all just, this a lot. So back at the Pank, some of the girls, like I said earlier, some of the girls chose to go ahead and go home before the curfew hits, and some of them decided to go ahead and stay at the Pank. So Uncle Clifford is showing some of the girls one of the private rooms where they can sleep, and Uncle Clifford is like, you know, y'all can stay in here, we've got couches, da-da-da. And as they're, you know, in there looking around, they're like, looks like somebody's already living in here. And so they notice like a ashtray with cigarettes and homeless Hailey's little bag of clothes and stuff. And so that's when Uncle Clifford clocks it, like, oh, wait a minute, Hailey is living up in here. So Big Teak comes into his room, you know, fresh from that heated fight. And he comes in, he sits down, he's trying to calm himself down, and he can hear from the bathroom, Lil Murda is in there recording his verse, you know, for the feature that he's gonna do. And so he goes into the bathroom, and Lil Murda is actually sitting in the bathtub recording his verse, you know, child, for the acoustics or whatever. And so Big Teak goes in there and he just starts peeing while Lil Murda is in the bathtub. So Lil Murda is in the bathtub. He pulls the shower curtain back like, man, you just gonna start peeing, you know, while I'm in here. But, you know, obviously they've been in prison together. It ain't like they never seen, you know, that's normal. So Big Teak is peeing, and Lil Murda goes ahead and gets out the bathtub and goes to walk out the room. But as he's walking out the room, he lingers for a little bit, sees what's going on, checks things out before he walks out the bathroom. And so I'm like, oh, okay, you know, we already knew what was up But okay, I see what's going on. And so once Big Teak comes out the bathroom, Lil Murda is just, standing over in the room. He's rolling up and he sees Big Teak, come into the room and sit on the bed. Obviously, there's something wrong with Big Teak. So once again, Lil Murda is like, what's wrong with you? Clearly something is wrong with you. And again, Big Teak is like, nothing's wrong. And Lil Murda is like, something is clearly wrong with you. Like, tell me what's wrong. He sees that, Big Teak is still watching the news. And Lil Murda is like, why are you watching this stuff if it makes you so upset? You constantly, feeding your mind with this stuff and it's just making you more and more upset. Shut it off. And Big Teak is just like, man, I'm just weeping for the world. And he just, goes on this long monologue about how he wonders sometimes why his mom even chose to give birth to him, because the world don't want a black person in it. No matter what you do as a black person, you wrong, whether you in the streets, whether you're a president, whatever. And he was like, it just feels like sometimes, might as well just, be what they assume you're going to be anyway. And he just gets really emotional. He's just, clearly really having a hard time with everything that's going on, which I can understand. This is somebody who's just getting out of prison, no telling what kind of interactions, this person has had while in prison with law enforcement. So it's just, I can 100% understand why just seeing stuff like this would just trigger like just the worst things for him. So he's having a hard time. He's getting really emotional. And he's sitting on the bed. And so, Lil Murda walks over to him and he, he just kind of like, takes his face in his hand. He's just comforting him. And Big Teak, just kind of leans his head on him. And I was like, I love this moment. Like, it was so just like genuine and sincere. Like, I just loved it so much. First of all, the more and more that we get to know Lil Murda, Lil Murda is just, I love him. In the first season, there were some things about Lil Murda I liked, some things about Lil Murda I didn't like, but it's like this season, they're really getting me when it comes to Lil Murda. Like, Lil Murda is becoming like one of my favorite characters on the entire show. But anyway, so Lil Murda goes over and comforts him. And it's a really beautiful moment. And, as he's just kind of comforting him, Big Teak ends up looking up and he's like, but you gonna be successful. You gonna be icy. You gonna make it, and he's just telling him, how proud of him he is. And he's like, everything that you said you was gonna do when we was in prison, like you're doing it, like you really out here doing it. Like, I'm so proud of you. And I was like, this is so sweet. And so they're just having this just sweet little moment. And then we get the most passionate sex scene of this entire show thus far. And let me just say this. I had no idea what to expect because, okay, let's talk about the real tea. Let's talk about the real tea. Here's the reality. Shows don't typically go as in detail when it comes to intimate scene with two men like this. In this very episode, a few scenes ago, we saw the scene with Farah and Mercedes and how they showed a full detail between these two women. That kind of scene is acceptable, for the most part. You know what I'm saying? There's always going to be people who are just going to be against it no matter what. But that sort of scene is acceptable for the most part. But how often do you get a scene where it's two men that goes as in detail as this scene went? It is very rare. The most that I can think of is like on Scandal. Sometimes they used to give us a little bit more than the average show. But, that was just network TV. So, they wasn't really showing too much anyway. But it's just usually when it's two men, they gonna give you a little peck, a little rub, and then they gonna pan the camera over to somewhere else and you can just, assume what happened after. This scene showed the whole thing. And I don't think I've ever seen a scene with two men that showed this much. So I really didn't know what to expect. And so I was a little like, you know, uncomfortable initially, not in like a, I mean, phobic way, but just like, I'm like, wait, I don't really know what to expect because I don't see scenes like this. But it was the most passionate scene I've ever seen. I was like, and it was, the dynamic between them was so different than what I would have expected. Like, listen, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the whole thing because this scene had me shook, okay? So, first of all, the dynamic between Lil Murda and Big Teak, wasn't expecting that. Definitely wasn't expecting Lil Murda to be the more, like, aggressive, in charge person in the situation. And, you know, we see Big Teak with his big, tall, angry, aggressive self just melt into this submissive almost. I was like, did not expect that, but it was doing something for me. I don't know, y'all. Please tell me how y'all felt about this scene. I really want to hear what other people felt about this scene, especially if you're not used to seeing scenes like this, because I haven't ever seen a scene like this before that gave us this much in detail of a scene with two men. So I did not know what to expect going into it, and I was just really surprised. I was surprised by the dynamic between them. I would have expected Lil Murda to fall more into the, you know, more submissive, more receiving end of things, but I was very shocked that was not the case. But then also, it was just like, I don't know, something about, you know, something about Big Teak just automatically, like, melting into this level of just, like, you know, just knowing exactly what Lil Murda wanted him to do next and just doing it without question, and just, it was just something about it that was just giving. I don't know. I was like, this scene really surprised me. And honestly, I'm really glad that P-Valley decided to do this, because like I said, a lot of times you'll see a scene like with Mercedes and Farah where they'll show that whole thing, and, you know, for the most part, people accept that, you know. But when it comes to it being two men, you know, they'll just show, like I said, the beginning little kiss or whatever, and then they pan the camera over, and then you come back when it's done. They don't ever show, like, everything, you know what I'm saying? And so I really like that P-Valley decided to do that, because it's like, no, if we can show this with Farah and Mercedes, then we can show this scene in just as much detail too, and it shouldn't be no problem either or. And so I love it, and I'm sure that they probably had to really, like, you know, I'm sure that they probably really had to think about, like, okay, how far do we want to go with this? How much do we want to show with this? Because even when you think about the scenes with Uncle Clifford and Lil Murda, it wasn't that much in detail. I mean, they showed, you know, it was detailed, but it wasn't this level of detail and this long of a scene, and just, you know what I'm saying? And so I don't know. The scene surprised me. I did feel nervous when the scene first started going, because I'm like, wait, I never seen a scene like this before. I don't really know what's about to happen. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't really know what to expect, but it was passionate as hell. It was sexy. Like, I don't even know how else to describe it. It was sexy. I'm sorry. Like Big T just, like, listen, it's the submission for me. I already know what you want me to do, and you don't even got to say it. Like, you just got to give me that look, and I just know to just get to it. Like, that for me, I was like, okay, Big T, okay. So anyway, listen, that scene had me shooketh, but it was a better scene than Farah and Mercedes to me. But anyway, yeah, so that happens. And, I think pretty much everybody knew, like, everybody pretty much felt that something was up with Big Teak and Lil Murda when we seen, them just having these really, like, really kind of like intimate moments, intimate conversations with each other, really like tender conversations with each other in the previous episodes. I think pretty much everybody figured it out that, okay, something must have been going on with them. So I guess we probably could have seen this scene coming, but it still surprised me the way they executed it. And I think they just flawless victory. So Keyshawn is sending Gidget back home in an Uber after, the fight and everything has gone down. So they say goodbye to each other, whatever, and as the Uber is driving off, Keyshawn looks down at her phone and Derek is calling and she immediately ignores his call, and I'm just like, girl, now why you playing with this man? But anyway, she ignores Derek's call and Rome comes outside, and Rome is just basically like, oh, so you sending, you had to send Becky on her way or whatever. And Keyshawn is like, yeah, I love Gidget to death, but some things you just can't, some conversations you just can't have around everybody or whatever. And I'm like, girl, good, because Gidget was just out of line with a lot of little stuff she was saying. Listen, if you are going to be the token non-black person with a whole bunch of black people, like, you gotta know what you can say and what you can't say, and what is appropriate and what isn't appropriate, and what's gonna set people off and what's not gonna set people off, especially in a situation as sensitive as, an unarmed black person, being killed by the police, and there's protests everywhere, and like, that's an extremely sensitive situation. If you hanging with all black people, surely you should know that would be something extremely sensitive for them. So it's just like the way Gidget was maneuvering, she was out of line. She was just out of line in a lot of different ways. So I'm glad that Keyshawn sent her ass on her merry way. But anyway, Rome is talking to Keyshawn, and he's just like, I'm gonna have Wody fire that crazy ass dude. He's talking about Big Teak. And, Keyshawn is like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't fire him or whatever. And Rome is like, no, I'm gonna fire him because, he going off and this and that and had you all scared or whatever. And, Keyshawn is like, no, I wasn't scared. And Rome is like, yes, you was. I could see it all over that pretty little face of yours that you was scared. If you ever feel scared like that again, you just let me know, and just know that I got your back, and I'll never let you feel scared like that. And I'm just like, I don't trust him. I don't trust Rome. I just don't trust him in any regard. I don't trust him when it comes to Keyshawn. I don't trust him when it comes to Big Teak. I don't trust him when it comes to Lil Murda. I think that Rome is grimy. I just think Rome is grimy, and I think Rome is like, has the propensity to do something grimy to any of them. I feel like he's grimy to the point where he'll do something grimy to Keyshawn, he'll do something grimy to Lil Murda, he'll do something grimy to Big Teak. I just don't trust him. So him like giving this little,
I got your back, whatever you need, if you're scared, let me know.
I'm just like, it sound good, Keyshawn, but I don't trust this man. But anyway, they're having this conversation, and what they don't realize is that Wody is off in the cut, and he's hearing this whole conversation. So Andre and Hailey are sitting like in the little back patio area of the Pank, and he's telling her how he was more hurt about his wife saying that he wasn't going to win the election, even more hurt than her cheating. And basically Hailey is like, I think it's great that you're running. I think that's a great idea. Andre ends up asking her like, so what are you going to do? Are you going to stick around or whatever? And Hailey is like, nah, I'm waiting on them to offer me the right amount. And she's like, I can't keep this place running. Like, we was shut down for the pandemic. Here we are shut down again. She's like, I'm just waiting for them to give me the right offer, and then I'm dipping. And so they're having this whole conversation, and what they don't know is that Uncle Clifford is eavesdropping on them, you know, from inside. And as Uncle Clifford is sitting there eavesdropping on their conversation, Mercedes ends up coming up because remember, she saw that text that everybody was coming to the paint to help, you know, get it ready for inspection. So Mercedes pops up and Uncle Clifford is telling her like, shh. So they're standing there, they're listening in on this entire conversation between Andre and Hailey. And so basically, you know, Andre is like, oh, so you was always planning on, you know, flipping this property from the very beginning. And basically Hailey is like, yeah, I mean, it's a, you know, it's a waterfront property with a view, you know, wouldn't you? And so Andre is like, dang, you know, that's cold-blooded or whatever. And Hailey is like, I'm a businesswoman. And I'm just like, dang, Hailey, like, it's just so crazy because when you really think about it, when Hailey came to the pink, the whole thing was that the dude Martavius had basically taken her in and she had basically like stole all this man's money and left him in the middle of the night. Now, granted, you know, it seems like he was controlling or abusive or something like that. So I'm not saying that she wasn't justified in leaving him, but she could have left him without taking all his money. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, even when she came to the pink, it was like, clearly this is somebody who is like calculated enough to like scheme her way up into this man's finances to be able to take all his money. And so she takes all this man's money and then she's at the pink. She sees the information because, you know, she was snooping on Andre's stuff. She's seen the information about Promised Land Realty. She's seen that they wanted to, you know, buy the pink. This could have literally been her plan from the get-go. Like, at the moment that she saw that Promised Land wanted to buy the pink and that they was willing to spend X amount of money for it, that could have been her plan from the get-go. Oh, I'm about to go get Martavius's money, buy the property, and then sell it to Promised Land Realty for more money. Like, that literally could have been her plan from the get-go, honestly. Like, whole time we thinking Hailey is this, you know, lost, sweet, grieving girl who just comes to the pink and ends up, you know, falling in love with all the people there. And, you know, because she loves everybody there, she decides to buy the pink back for them. But it's like, whole time you was always scheming to flip it into more money this whole entire time. So you on some evil villain type vibes. And like, even I bought it. Because, like, when you really think about it, why would she come back with her little white outfit on to the auction and buy the pink? She was done. Martavius was gone. She done finessed, you know, the folks at the pink to kill him for her. She done finessed Mercedes to help her steal all this money. And she could have just been gone. But she made it a point to come back to Chuckalisa, come to the auction, buy the pink for $250K because she knew that they wanted it, that Promised Land Realty wanted it, and she knew that she could flip that $250K to even more money. Not homeless Hailey, the super villain. But anyway, so Uncle Clifford and Mercedes are eavesdropping. They hear her as she's saying all this. So Andre and her get up. They about to have them a little moment, about to kiss or whatever. And as soon as they about to kiss, boom, out comes Uncle Clifford and Mercedes going off. Uncle Clifford is like, first of all, so you telling me that this was your plan the whole time, that you came up in here, got close to everybody just so you could buy the pink and flip it and sell it? And Uncle Clifford is calling her out about it. And she's basically like, you know, this pandemic, you know, we wasn't expecting this pandemic to go on. We done lost X amount of money. Like, we can't continue to operate like this. We're losing money. We're not going to be able to make this money back. Like, we don't have no choice but to sell. And Uncle Clifford is just going off on her. And Uncle Clifford is like, you know, don't forget the whole reason that you even had the ability to buy the pink in the first place. And I'm just like, yeah, Hailey, because first of all, you out here acting like these folks didn't murder a man for you and get rid of his body for you and also helped you steal all his money. Like, these folks got real incriminating stuff on you, and you out here moving grimy as if you don't need these people to keep your secrets. Like, Girl, you can't make enemies of the people that know all your skeletons, girl. What are you doing? So Hailey and Uncle Clifford and Mercedes, they going back and forth. At this point, Andre done went off somewhere. He's like, child, this ain't none of my business. So he left. And they're all going at it. And, you know, everybody else ends up coming running outside because they're like, what's going on? What's going on? And so Uncle Clifford is telling them, you know, Hailey, she trying to sell the paint. This was her plan all along, was to sell it. And so at this point, everybody, Big L, all the girls, everybody is looking at Hailey like, dang, Hailey, that's messed up. And so Hailey is fighting for her life against the whole entire club. And, you know, she's like, you know, we don't have a choice but to sell it. You know, we can't operate like this. Y'all just gonna have to find somewhere else to go. Y'all can buy another paint. It's just a building. It's just a building. Y'all can find another building. And Uncle Clifford is like, for it to be just a building, you sure is up in here living in it like it's your home. And so Mercedes is like, girl, I thought you was living with a friend. And Uncle Clifford is like, she don't got no friends. And I was like, ouch. You know, that probably hurt. That probably hurt. But all the girls and Big L and all them are just going off on her, telling her how trifling she is. And she's just, like I said, child, she fighting for her life. And so everybody is just basically attacking her and going off on her. And Uncle Clifford is like, come on, y'all, let's forget her. Let's just get in here and try to finish getting the pink, you know, ready to pass inspection or whatever. And so everybody else just kind of walks away from her. And she's just standing out there looking dumb. And Mercedes goes up to her and is like, I see exactly what Martavius meant when he said, you real easy to love, but you even more easy to hate. And just sitting here like, at this point, if this was her whole evil plan this whole entire time, it's just like, at what parts of what she even said was true? Like, was Martavius even a bad guy? Because it's just like, I don't know, Hailey. It's just, I don't know. It's giving, you was just scheming up on everybody, including him. Basically, everybody ends up walking off and Hailey's just standing out there looking stupid. And it's just like, girl, you literally making enemies of the people who literally killed a man for you, got rid of his body for you. Mercedes literally helped you steal all this man's money. Like, why do you feel like it's a good thing for you to make enemies of these people? Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. We hear the Temptations playing over the last few scenes of the episode. The health inspector lady comes back and, you know, unfortunately, she's letting them know, like, y'all still ain't up to code. Apparently, like, the filters and stuff that Big L got, you know, he didn't get the right one. So they did not get the place up to code. So she had to give them another fine. So they still have some work to do to be able to get the pink up to code. So Big L, Uncle Clifford, and Hailey are out there and they just all just like, at this point, child, it's just everybody got beef. So it's about to be a mess. So then we see Lil Murda waking up after his love fest with Big Teak or whatever. And, you know, he wakes up and he looks over and we see Big Teak in the cut holding one of the postcards that Lil Murda been sending to Uncle Clifford. And Big Teak is like, who's Uncle Clifford? And he's like, all this time that you've been out, you ain't sent me no postcards in jail. And I was like, oh, Lord. Come on, Forbidden Love Triangle. But honestly, I'm just like, okay, I feel bad for Lil Murda because it's like Lil Murda has fallen in love with Uncle Clifford. He didn't even know Big Teak was getting out of jail. When Wody took him to the jail to go pick up Big Teak, Lil Murda had no idea where they was going and why. It wasn't until they got there that he realized that, oh shoot, Big Teak is getting out. So it's like, it's not like Lil Murda planned to fall in love with Uncle Clifford and have the, you know, boo thing from his past just show up. Now, Lil Murda did decide to smash, but also Uncle Clifford haven't been responding to Lil Murda's messages. And so it's just like, It's a tricky situation. I hate it for everybody involved, but it's giving forbidden love triangle. And honestly, Big Teak is very emotionally unstable. So, child, at this point, everybody's in danger. Everybody involved is in danger. So Andre pulls up to his uncle Tydell's house and he sees all the sons. They're moving stuff out of the house. And as he's coming in the house, they're kind of like pushing past him. They're angry. They got attitudes, you know, they're like, move out the way, you know, and giving him a whole lot of hostility. And so once he gets inside the house and he's like, what's going on? And he sees one of Tydell's baby mamas and she's pissed off and she's like, I don't know what you had to say to him to get him to leave this house to you instead of to his actual, you know, biological children. But whatever you said, you know, you and him ought to be ashamed of yourselves or whatever. And so she, you know, gives him the wheel and leaves, and they all leave, and Andre is standing there and he reads the will and he sees that, you know, his uncle or his godfather, I've been saying uncle because I feel like he was calling him uncle, but he's the godson. But you know how black folks be, child. We be calling folks uncle, auntie, and they do not be related to us. But anyway, Uncle Tydell left him the house in his will. And so that's why all the kids are upset, because it's like, how you going to leave the house to your godson and you got 92 biological children that you ain't leave the house to? But anyway, he's standing there reading the will. He sees that the house has been left to him. And as he's standing there reading it, he gets a phone call from Corbin Kyle. And he's like, come meet me at my campaign headquarters. So obviously, him and Corbin are going to go forth with this whole running for mayor situation. So then we see the Dirty Dozen crew in the, you know, tour bus, and they're in traffic because, you know, it's still the aftermath of all the protests and different things that happened. So they're in traffic on the way to their next stop on the Dirty Dozens tour. Child, it is a thick, awkward silence in there. Ain't nobody talking. A whole lot has transpired between this group of people in the last 24 hours. So it is just awkward silence. Ain't nobody joking. Ain't nobody laughing. Ain't nobody playing this stupid ass, you know, wink and somebody gotta die game. Everybody's just pretty much sitting in silence. And so then we see Lil Murda's phone dings and we see that it is a text message from Uncle Clifford. Basically, Uncle Clifford just checking in like, you know, hey, you know, just wanted to see how you're doing. The world is going crazy out here. Just wanted to check on you. And mind you, Lil Murda has been trying to, you know, get Uncle Clifford to respond for 5+ months since murder night. And so this is the very first time that Uncle Clifford has even, you know, reached out in all this time. And it's just kind of, it's like now everything is complicated because Big Teak is back and, you know, Lil Murda done smashed him last night. So now it's just like where this should have been like a super happy moment for Lil Murda. Like, yes, finally Uncle Clifford is, you know, hitting me back. Now everything is just complicated. So, oh, child, I hate that for him, but, you know, we love a messy love triangle. And, you know, not only do we have this messy love triangle with, you know, Big Teak, Uncle Clifford, and Lil Murda, but it looked like we also about to have a messy love triangle with Mercedes, Farah, and Coach. So, child, it's getting real and we love to see it. And so they ended off the episode with a tribute. The tribute said, to those we've lost and loved in 2020. And it had just a listing of all the names of people who, you know, were lost in 2020. And man, that just like hit me because it was a lot of names. And I was like, whew. You know, so that was nice, you know, that they ended it on a nice little tribute like that. Listen, this episode was giving, like, so much happened in this episode that is major. And listen, y'all know me, I got the predictions coming. So, like, basically at this point, I feel like, so we already know that the people running for mayor, it's going to be Andre, it's going to be Patrice Woodbine, and it's going to be Wayne Kyle. We knew that. We peeped that from the beginning. But what I think is about to happen now, because now that Uncle Clifford and the girls at the Pink have pretty much fallen out with Hailey, and it's pretty much everybody against Hailey. Everybody at the Pink against Hailey at this point. I feel like what's going to happen now is Uncle Clifford and the crew at the Pink are going to end up supporting Patrice Woodbine for mayor simply because she don't want the casino to come. Because here's the thing. If the casino comes, then Hailey gets her deal. She sells the Pink. They're shit out of luck. If they back Wayne Kyle, the casino comes and, you know, Hailey sells the Pink, etc., etc. If they back Andre, the casino comes. At this point, the only way that they can, like, for sure stop Hailey from being able to sell the Pink to the casino people is if you stop the casino from coming. And how do you stop the casino from coming? You get Patrice Woodbine in office because she don't want the casino to come. So I feel like we're going to be back in a situation where we're going to have Mercedes in a position where once again, she's going to have to be working with her mom, even though she hates her, because they just need to be able to stop Hailey from selling the Pink to, you know, the casino people. So I feel like that's what's going to happen. I feel like everybody at the Pink is going to end up being on the campaign for Patrice Woodbine just to be able to put a stop to that. And I feel like Hailey is going to be campaigning hard for Andre because, again, Andre is going to want to bring the casino, which is going to want to bring the people that are going to give Hailey the most money, you know, for her property. So I feel like that's how it's going to go down. In terms of the Dirty Dozen crew, I don't trust Rome. I don't like how Rome is trying to like slide up and get closer to Keyshawn. I don't trust him. And in the previews for the next episode, it was pretty much showing that, you know, basically Derek is starting to act up because, you know, he wants Keyshawn to come back home. And so it seems like him and Keyshawn are going at it about that, which is like, girl, now you know this man is crazy. Stop playing with this man. And then there was also a little preview that showed like Keyshawn telling Rome, like, you know, Rome, I gotta go home. Like, I gotta go back home. And Rome was like, no, you need to stay and make this money. And so I'm like, okay, so is he gonna start being controlling and stuff to her too? So I don't trust Rome. And I also, you know, I still think that Rome is gonna be trying to work with that other dude, the shady backseat dude from the last few episodes. I still think that Rome is going to be trying to, you know, connect with him to get dirt on Little Murda and them, because I think that Rome wanted to just be him and Keyshawn, and that's it. I don't think he want Lil Murda, Wody, Big T. I don't think he want none of them involved in. I think he wanted to be him and Keyshawn on the Keyshawn and Rome tour, and that's it. And I think he is going to be willing to do whatever grimy thing is necessary to get that to happen. And I think that's going to involve him like trying to like get dirt on them. So I don't trust Rome. I think that's what he's going to be up to next time. And I'm nervous for Keyshawn because I'm like, number one, you know, your crazy baby daddy is still at the house. You still got to go back home to him when this is over. Plus, we don't know what he might do if you just continue to not come back home. He might, you know, come to your next tour stop and find you or something. Who knows? But then also, I'm like, I don't even trust you in the hands of Rome because I don't trust him. So I don't know. I'm like, Keyshawn, girl, you in danger. I hope that she's, you know, I'm worried about her. And then in terms of this whole love triangle with Lil Murda and Big Teak and Uncle Clifford, you know, I feel bad for Uncle Clifford because I feel like, you know, Uncle Clifford has held off for 5 months, you know, not responding to messages and stuff, basically making Lil Murda work. And that's exactly what Lil Murda did. And so it's like now that Uncle Clifford is like, okay, you know, he been sending me all these postcards. He been working me back. You know, let me go ahead and text him, you know. You know, it's a whole old flame from the past that then came back up. Uncle Clifford don't know nothing about Big Teak. So it's like Uncle Clifford has no idea that they're in a love triangle at this point, but they are. It's a lot going on, y'all, but Tell me what y'all think in the comments. Those are my predictions for what's coming up. This was a really good episode. I am literally like, it has taken me so long to record this video. My voice is literally halfway gone. I don't even know if y'all could tell. I have been recording for like 2 hours, okay? Now I'm gonna chop this footage down as much as I can, but I've been recording and talking for 2 hours. Listen, I had a lot to say. We gonna chop it on down for y'all. But my voice is nearly gone. I'm finna go, drink me some lemon tea or something. But thank y'all so much for tuning in to this review and recap of P-Valley Season 2. Definitely make sure that you give the video a like, especially if you stuck around for this long. If you stuck around for this long, obviously you having fun. And definitely, if you're feeling the vibe over here at Fiercely V, make sure that you subscribe to the tribe so that you don't miss my next uploads. I will be right back here next week reviewing the next episode of P-Valley. And hopefully I'll see y'all there. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.